All right, a quick end of day recap here, taking a look at ES and NQ. Now, if you've been following along this week, you definitely should not be surprised by today's action. I've been mentioning pretty much since Tuesday that we should expect a lot of whipsaw through this zone. Typically, when you have price testing a big key pivot from the daily or weekly time frame charts, you're going to have price action that again is characterized by a lot of whipsaw, a lot of traps. Pretty much exactly what we saw this morning. Following NFP, we did have an initial move lower that tested that 4,700 level. So that's a technical break of the zone. Just to see that bounce there, that was a big level of interest that we had for the session. Just to see that bounce there, reclaim the zone, and trade up into this week's volume point of control, that little blue line there where my cursor is. So let's take a look at the intraday action, including the overnight. You initially have essentially a move lower during the overnight session, right? Continued selling down into, again, 4,700, about 4,702. We call that close enough to the level of interest. Couple of points away, good enough from a risk perspective, and then pretty much just vertical all from there. No real pullback. You have a couple of attempts where you can use a shallow pullback to get long, but essentially it's just a push higher up through the prior day low, which was where we had the regular trading hours open. You can see initially price opens right around here, right? Pulls back slightly, holds that prior day low level before continuing to rally. We did have some news at 10 a.m. Always pay attention to that 10 a.m. news. So news comes in right at the 47.35 level of interest right through here and just continues higher. Now, I'd mentioned in the think tank in the chat there that the setup up in the 47.50, 47.60 area was most likely exhausted for the session. And the reason is, if you take a look, one of the interesting things here we're working with on the hourly chart, if you take a look at this action, again, what is this? Well, this is a pretty plain as day downtrend. You have the high up here, lower high, right? Lower high, lower high. And so the series of lower highs continues. Now, if you miss all of this move, maybe even some of this, is this really the best spot to be getting long? Definitely not, right? Probability kind of favors some type of rollover here if we are going to continue to favor the structure. Now, that's not a short that I will personally take based on the systems that I trade, but that is what we saw within price. So now what we want to see into Monday, again, primary watch is how this daily zone, this blue zone on the chart here, is going to be treated. Is this action into the afternoon here potentially a higher low, and we're going to see a break of the most recent lower high, which would be from yesterday's session? I have no crystal ball, but that is what we want to be keeping an eye on. Now, the significance of this, once price actually does break what was Thursday's high, you have a change in character on this hourly downtrend, and that change in character will align nicely with the current daily setup, which is testing a big key area of support, right? So intermediate term pretty much continues to show some range bound action, right? Near term action, if we're just talking about this week, obviously a downtrend. And then when we zoom out on the daily, talking about the past 8 or 9 weeks, we have a pretty big uptrend here, right? And so question becomes, again, how price is going to react and trade within this little area right through here. Now, currently, we do have an indecision bar on big volume. And so a doji, if you're familiar with, the candlestick patterns and what the candlestick means, a doji can sometimes mark the end of a move. In this case, it would be a move down before bouncing. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. Once again, no crystal ball here. Just working with the levels that we have, just trading the chart right in front of us and utilizing market structure. The index, regardless of news and all the rest, continues to trade incredibly technically. So you want to make sure that your levels are dialed in and you're paying attention to what the primary structure shows on the chart. Now, taking a look at NQ, this one pretty similar. Had mentioned on Tuesday, right, when we start to kind of break that higher low there, if we're going to call that a higher low, where is the next most obvious area that price is going to test? You don't have any areas of support through here from a structural perspective. It's right through here, right? It's the prior high, right, where I have all of this blue zone. So very unsurprising to see some buying activity through here, especially following 5-6 sessions lower. I'd mentioned in one of the recent recaps, or maybe it was one of the pre-market prep live streams, but essentially what you want to remember is when we have, 5-6 days consecutively in a single direction, whether that be up or down, you kind of want to start to expect at least a reversal, at least a 1 or 2 day reversal, right? And that could be like kind of what we saw today. You do have a bit of a bounce today, price retest that prior day high. And so now the question for Monday is, can buyers, continue to step in here and break today's high, and we'll trade most likely back up into that 16,800 level. Now, one thing I just noticed that is quite interesting is this morning when we were looking at NQ, the weekly volume point of control, which is now right here, was up here, right? So you have a shift of the weekly time frame volume point of control. Initial thought personally is that this is some accumulation, considering the zone that price is trading down into. This is prior resistance, now most likely becoming support. We may have a lot of accumulation developing here over the past couple of sessions. For proof that this is accumulation, you want to see price trade up through the 16,500 level and up through today's high, which is 16,583. So that's pretty much a wrap for today's recap. Hope everyone had a great day. Hope everyone had a great week. As always, I'll be posting the weekly kickoff on Sunday, kind of giving a big picture overview of the levels, the weekly time frame levels to be keeping an eye on, as well as any major market moving events. And then we'll take it away on Monday with the pre-market prep live stream, kind of giving a detailed plan for the session as always. So have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you Monday morning. Take care.